everyone. As you know, my name is Luca Marin. Been a chef for a couple of days. I started this week, so please be patient, okay? Nah, just kidding. Been in this business since I was 15 years old. I started up in a pizzeria down in Colombia. That was my first job. Then when I moved to the States, I worked for a Greek pizzeria also. I started as a dishwasher, then moved my way up. You know, I've been anywhere from a server to a busser to a food runner. And then finally I realized how passionate I was for cooking that I decided to join culinary arts. I did an associate degree in Le Cordon Bleu, Orlando. At the time I was working at a Mexican restaurant, and I told the owner, hey, would you give me a chance on the back of the house? And then after a couple of months, I became the lead cook of that back of the house. Took a lot of initiative, took a lot of passion. Move on, and after I graduated school, I joined Seasons 52 with Darden. Matter of fact, I was part of the opening crew for Seasons 52 at UTC. That's how I ended up in Sarasota for the first time. Then I moved to Roots Chris in North Carolina. And then years later, here I am, part of the HarborChase family. So today we're gonna do a little cooking demo. I have two different cuisines from two different sides of the world. But we're gonna use this master oven as well and try to incorporate that a little bit. Today we're going to do stuffed poblano pepper. Then we're also going to do sushi. We're actually gonna make the whole process on sushi. I just made a couple of things from scratch, and I'm gonna show you how to put it together. Poblano pepper, it's a Mexican pepper, you know, and it's just another way of stuffing a pepper. You know, commonly we see it here in the States with rice, ground beef, maybe some tomato sauce. Today we're gonna do a little bit different, and I'll be guiding you on that as we move on. First thing you do in the kitchen, what is it?
Wash your hands.
Thank you.
What'd you say? Wash your hands. Oh.
All right, now that we have clean hands, we can actually start cooking. All right, now you can trust me on this. All right, so the first thing that I want to show you, when I do a poblano stuffed pepper, one of the things that I like to do is I like to roast my peppers, right? That's gonna do two, and we do it on open fire. Ideally, we want to do it with a charcoal grill, but we have these mechanisms over here, and that's gonna help us show the process. You're gonna accomplish two different things when you do this process. The first thing is that pepper is gonna be nice and tender because we're already starting the cooking process. And the second thing is that it's gonna add the fire roasted flavor to your pepper already. All right. So the way that you roast the pepper, when you do it on open fire, is gonna look like it's burnt, right? It's gonna look like completely char on the outside. But then we remove that outside part, that char on it, and it still leaves the flavor behind. As you can see, they don't take that long to start cooking. We're gonna roast it all the way to the side. And then after you're done roasting where it all looks completely black, we're going to put it on an airtight container. You can use a Cambro with a lid, you can use a bowl and put some plastic wrap. Some people in kitchens, all they do is they put the bowl upside down, and then they lid that. What that's going to do to the pepper, that little bit of heat remaining on it, and the moisture from the pepper is going to create a little bit of a steam. It's going to help you peel the outside part of it faster, while still keeping the flavors on it. Some people, after they do this process, they like to rinse it under water. I'm not a fan of it because we're working this hard to create that flavor into the pepper, and then we're gonna rinse it up underwater. There's no point to me of doing that. So I have one that it's already been charred and peeled just to help out with the process. Otherwise, this is gonna take at least 10 minutes to steam, and you know, we're just gonna pull the TV magic on this one, okay? So like I mentioned, put it on an airtight container. Let it go. Like you want to roast it all the way through. That's how you want to accomplish this. Put it on an airtight container. Put it to the side for about 10 minutes. Then you're gonna have, after you peel it, that outside film of the pepper. After you remove the char part of it, which is gonna look something like this, like a lot of it obviously on the outside. You remove all of it, and then you have something that looks like this. All right? Now, like I mentioned, we accomplished two different things. We accomplished incorporating that open fire flavor, which is amazing on anything that we do. And then you have a nice tender pre-started cooked pepper. Otherwise, if you try to bake a pepper that hasn't been either pre-steamed, pre-cooked one way or another, you're going to end up either having cold stuffing because your pepper is going to be overdone, or vice versa. You're going to have an overdone pepper and you're going to have a cold inside, which is not fun at all, right? Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to throw these pepper in the oven. The stuffing that I use for this pepper, and that's the beauty of stuffed peppers. You can do anything you want with it, honestly. I've seen it rice, ground beef. I've seen it like Southwest style where they do corn, black beans, more peppers into it. You can do seafood. You can do anything. Like sky's the limit. You can put a whole meal into this pepper. What I did today, I used a cream cheese stuffing with some cheddar cheese, some shredded chicken. I put some ranch seasoning on it, a little bit of cheddar cheese, a little bit of Worcestershire sauce also. And that's what we're gonna go with. As our pepper is roasting, we'll leave that to the side. Now I'm gonna show you and tell you a little bit about sushi, right? So sushi, what is sushi? There's a little bit of a fight between who originated sushi in Asia, right? As, the Chinese claim that they did it because of the original dish, but then the Japanese kind of took it to the next level by serving it to us the way we see it today. So I'm just gonna say that it's Asian, okay? I'm not gonna upset anybody over here on camera. All right, so with that being said, sushi literally stands for it is sour. So that sourness comes from the vinegar, right? It's normally the rice that you use on sushi. It is seasoned with some rice vinegar. Gives a little bit of a sour taste at the end of it, which altogether I think is a delicious meal. But that's the name of it. It is sushi. There's 5 different types of sushi. Today we're gonna do, again, more like a Japanese style sushi. But there's also 5 main types of sushi. Today we're gonna be working on a maki roll. And what that type of sushi that is basically, it's a wrap, you know, where you have the nori, which is our seaweed. That's what you use for the wrap. And you put the stuff on the inside, you roll it, and then you cut it and serve into small pieces. There's also the uramaki type of sushi, which is kind of the opposite. And I'm gonna see if we have some time to make it to make the 2 kinds, at least 2 kinds of it. But there's also sashimi style sushi, which is essentially the raw seafood, no rice, that has some seasonings on the top. And there's couple more that I'm missing the name, but again, let's get to it. So I think what I would do is kind of walk you through the process, and I'll try to show you the ingredients as I work with. All right. If you have any questions, feel free. This is a demo for you. This is open for you. So any doubts, any concerns, just let me know, and I'll be happy to stop at any second. In the meantime, I'm keeping that pepper on the back of my head. All right, with that being said, when you're ready to do sushi, one of your best friends is gonna be a little bit of cold water on the side. That cold water on your hands is gonna help you manipulate that rice better. Why? Because that rice, after you rinse the excess of starch on it, the rice becomes sticky. Then we also season it with a little bit of rice vinegar, which helps with that sour seasoning that we wanna put on it. Having wet hands is going to help you manipulate it and handle it easier, right? Otherwise, you're going to end up with a lot of sticky mess on your hands. So we're going to grab some of that sushi rice, and we're going to start placing it on our seaweed. One of the best tips that I learned from a chef before, when people start doing sushi, they have a tendency of pressing the rice into the paper. The issue is once you press that rice into the paper, there's no going back. That rice is not going anywhere. So you're gonna have a hard time spreading it all the way across the seaweed, and you're gonna end up using more rice. And before you know it, you have a whole burrito that you don't even know what to do with. So the whole idea is to spread it before you actually press it. I'm using just the tip of my hands of my fingers, and you're using only enough rice to create a nice layer. You don't want too much. You want a nice balance of rice and the fillings that you're going to be putting in. Which today I have multiple fillings. I have spicy tuna, avocado. I actually have some steak. I have a volcano mix, which is a crab mix with some sriracha mayonnaise. So I'm going to put one together for you. And then maybe we can work on building our own later on, or I'll build it for you. Okay. So we have the first layer, which is our rice. Now we can actually press a little bit, now that I am happy with the amount of rice that I have on my roll. Now, let's think about what we're going to be putting in here. I'm going to use some asparagus, which I already pre-steamed a little bit, or I did what is called a blanching process, which blanching any vegetable, usually green vegetables, what you want to do is you want to either steam it or boil it for a very short period of time, no more than 3 minutes, just enough until you reach that highest peak of green on that vegetable, where it still looks nice and bright, but not too much where it's overdone, right? Just enough where it's bright as green and nice and crunchy, nice and crispy, so you taste the best part of a vegetable. Okay, like I mentioned, I have some spicy tuna. Very commonly in the Asian cuisine, we're going to use raw seafood, which I know in the Western cuisine is not welcome all the time. But when you have fresh quality ingredients, you shouldn't be concerned about how far the food is cooked, because this food is as fresh as it gets. A lot of times it's usually just pulled out of the ocean, prepped up, and served right in front of you. All right, I'm also going to use avocado. All right, now the fun part of it, rolling it up. Sushi, it's an excellent hosting food recipe, especially when you have friends, family over, because everybody can give it a try, everybody can turn it into their own, and it could truly be fun when you make it at home. When you're doing this, it's no different than when you're doing a burrito in a way. You want to use the sushi mat, which you can find in any food supermarket, or get it through Amazon nowadays. We're gonna bring the outside part in, roll it where the end meets the inside part of it, and then with a roller, we can go ahead and make it a little bit tighter. That's gonna help it on the slicing process. Keep everything nice and tight. Here it is. If you have an excess on the seaweed, you can always use a little bit of water, or you can just cut it up if you prefer. All right. Keep a look on the pepper. Looking great. She's starting to melt. Turn it around so it cooks evenly. All right, now we're going to go ahead and slice our sushi. Again, water is your best friend when you're doing sushi. Cold water, cold tap water. We're gonna go ahead and let the knife do the work. Slice up. From here, you can trim the end. I don't like to waste anything, so I like to use the ends also, and it helps as a garnish later on when I'm ready to plate. Alright, now that our sushi has been sliced, we're going to present. Another cool thing of sushi is it's all about textures and colors and using fresh ingredients. Once you find a great balance, then the rest is just playing around with the presentation and finding different ingredients that you can incorporate into this dish. I'm gonna serve it with a little bit of wasabi. This is wasabi is similar to the horseradish plant. It's actually, think of it as a cousin of horseradish. So it does have that spice if you're not careful with the amount that you're using. Put in a little bit of eel sauce, which is a reduction of soy sauce, sugar, and rice vinegar. I have some garnishing edible flowers. I'm also going to use sesame seeds, all right, there's sushi for you. Questions so far? No? All right. Thank you. Excellent. All right. For our next course on the poblano pepper, I also made enchilada sauce to help go with it. Keep it very close to the Mexican cuisine. An enchilada sauce is usually made out of ethnical peppers. Poblano pepper is used after it's smoked also. Then you can add some tomatoes, onions to it, blend it all together, make it a nice sauce consistency on it. And I think we've all had enchiladas at some point in our life, so I think we can relate to the flavor profile. With that being said, I'm just waiting to melt that cheese a little bit more. The stuffing, again, I don't want a cold stuffing, so I can go ahead and make another type of sushi in the meantime. This one, I'm gonna keep the rice on the outside. This is gonna be a uromaki type of sushi. Like I mentioned, spread it first, and then you want to press it. To help myself in this kind of sushi, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to cut the excess of the seaweed. The seaweed that I'm using today has been toasted already, which helps with the texture and a little bit on the flavor. I'm still going to use my sushi mat. So this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the rice down on the roll. Keep the seaweed on the facing myself. Then I'm going to put the toppings on the inside. When you're working on the fillings for sushi, you want to keep the size of your fillings consistent. That's going to help you give a better look on the final product. All right. Then we proceed and roll. There it is. Different type of sushi roll, uramaki. One thing that I like about this type of sushi is that because of the white rice on it, it truly allows you to highlight different colors on it. So you can go ahead and garnish with some sesame seeds, different sauces. You have a white canvas to work with. The one thing that I don't like about it is that because the rice is on the outside, it's gonna make it a little bit more challenging to cut because the rice is gonna try to stick to the knife. So again, that's why I'm using a little bit of water here. That's gonna help that knife slide right through. Right. I'm gonna use a different plate for this one. There it is. Maybe we can use some of the same asparagus as a garnish. Right. Uramaki type of sushi roll. All right, our poblano pepper is looking real good now. So what I'm going to do is I have a cast iron pan over here. I'm gonna use that to finish up the cooking process, and then I'm also gonna use it to present our poblano pepper. One thing that I did miss, it is very common to see soy sauce served with sushi. It does help, kind of consolidate all the flavors by bringing a little bit more of the saltiness, kind of adds everything together. Just want to use a little bit on the seafood, and it'll help, I guess, kind of control the raw flavor of seafood and balance it out. All right, with that being said, we're gonna pull our poblano. Once you start seeing, a nice caramelization around on the cheese, we know that pepper has already been pre-cooked, so we know that it's nice and tender and it has the flavor. I'm gonna add the sauce to the cast iron pan. Heat that up a little bit. Any questions so far? Not bad for a first day, right? Alright, we're gonna go ahead and transfer that poblano to our cast iron pan. I'm gonna go ahead and garnish it with cilantro sour cream. Finish it up with some fresh cilantro leaves. There it is. Fresh out of the oven, poblano stuffed pepper. All right, ladies and gents, that concludes our chef demo. Please feel welcome to try it or ask any questions. And thank you once again.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.